Wait, so he knows that people like to call for death for gay people and call them because they're calling them groomers. So he decided to call them groomers anyways and was okay with people linking that to calling for their deaths. So he knew that it was going to be taken as they had it coming, but he decided to say it anyways.
DeSantis, I think, is mostly surface level. I like a lot of his policies. I think he's...
What do you like about his policies?
I mean, at the beginning of COVID, it wasn't particularly good, right? He did a lot of what everyone else did. But to be fair, I was very much like, I guess, I was very much, Thomas Massey didn't want to do this big spending bill. And I said, this is crazy. The economy, like, we don't know what's going on. There are people dying. We're seeing videos of people dying in the street. And so I think, hindsight being 2020, I looked.
Oh, so he's going to be like, I love the idea of Florida being the COVID capital of the world.
Back and I'm like, I probably should not have just gone along with all of that. That was probably stupid. Ron DeSantis did initially, but then changed and said, you know what, this is not making sense. We're reopening. And I think that made a lot more sense.
It was also under extreme pressure. Like Andrew Cuomo was the most promoted governor in the country, and he was the most attacked.
So DeSantis did well in not the first, but he did well in reopening things back up.
But what policies do you like generally about him?
Thank you, Emma.
Besides the COVID stuff,
I'm
what
begging.
are the other policies like as governor? I mean, you think it's just the state legislature that's putting together these anti? I mean, look,
think it's mostly
Tim,
them.
You said that there was a grooming event happening at Club Q, and that was after the shooting, right? Which is essentially kind of saying, well, look, they had it coming a little bit. I mean,
no.
you didn't.
Yes. No, what do you don't go no, you go yes. You don't mention something like that if you don't mean they kind of had it coming. That is exactly what you mean there.
Right? Which is essentially kind of saying, well, look, they had it coming a little bit. I mean, no. you didn't say that, but that's the implication.
I actually said, how do we prevent these things from happening? If people, so I tweeted.
So you actually seem pretty aligned with DeSantis on the anti.
But I don't think it's him. I think it's the Florida legislature. And if DeSantis becomes president, you think Congress is going to vote for any of these things? As for the
Republicans, yes.
Club Q thing. I said, if people keep saying wood chippers, what did you think was going to happen, right? I am saying, stop saying these things.
Saying what?
People keep going online and going, wood chippers, wood chippers, wood chippers. You know what that means, right?
For who, though?
For groomers.
Right, okay.
And I'm like, what do you think is going to happen if you go online and keep calling for death? Like, don't do that. Stop that, right? We want to stop child abuse. We want to stop violence. That's what we want.
So that's why I hope you have dedicated so much of your program to...
Wait. So he knows that people like to call for death for gay people and call them because they're calling them groomers. So he decided to call them groomers anyways and was okay with people linking that to calling for their deaths. So he knew that it was going to be taken as they had it coming, but he decided to say it anyways. Okay. Thank you, Tim.
Talking about the Catholic Church, because that is the institution in this country right now that is most associated with child abuse.
Hands down.
Queer people, gay people, trans people, that is not a thing. What is your definition of child abuse?
They're most associated, but they're actually not more abusive than any other religious institution, and they're not nearly as abusive as
no. I want to stay on this, and I also just where
are the books at? Where did they get moved to?
Tim, though, what policies about DeSantis do you like in terms of what he's running on for president?
Culture war stuff mostly, but I think
I am a serious adult. I am a serious adult with serious adult needs. I love it when he owns the libs, as you can see. Oh man, what the hell? Fucking loser.
I think COVID policy was
plug
good.
For the show.
Oh yeah.
Right, but what's the culture war stuff?
My goodness.
Like?
So yes, but the reason why I've not been last year I was.
Wait. The grooming children has to stop. People are calling for more violence. I do not think legislators will stop the grooming. People will not stop calling for violence. You will tell me what happens next. So why'd you add on to it? We shouldn't tolerate pedophiles grooming kids. Club Q. This meme is very real. This is the gay club that got shut up. Had a grooming event. How do you prevent violence to stop the grooming? Tell me what happens next. People will not stop calling for violence. They had a grooming event. How do you stop the violence? You're just like, okay, Tim. This is the most sleazy baby brain attempt in trying to make people think that you're not saying that these people had it coming in my entire life. I've never seen someone twist themselves in such a way to try to say something while trying to say nothing at the same time. That is wild to me. That is wild to me. So you do think they had it, they kind of had it coming. You do literally think that they had it coming. That's actually genuinely what he believes.
It's like,
I wish Emma kept on that. She may go back, but I wish
is probably better for one simple reason.
No, what stuff do you like now? What do you like that he's running on?
Yeah, culture war stuff predominantly.
But can you expand on that notion?
I think you want me to like pull up specific.
I mean, I don't know. It's like
just say something.
You said that you like certain things, that you're leaning more towards Trump because of AI images. I would hope that there's a little bit more substance to your disagreement.
Well, but every time I try and bring it up, you just ask me the same question again.
Because you're not answering my question.
So I'm trying to.
Okay, go ahead.
So now where was I before you jumped back in? First, the culture war stuff is obvious, right? Parental rights and education bill. Yes, that one's fairly obvious. I don't know about the Disney stuff. That's kind of absurd. What I was going to say is, let's go back in time to why I said I was for Ron DeSantis in the first place and why where I'm at now is not. The first thing was last year I was having a conversation with the Daily Wire crew and I said, Trump is brash.
He's not going to do it, is he?
Many people don't like him. And he won't shut up about 2020. He's a sore loser. Ron DeSantis, at the very least, is dry and can get us something better than, say, Joe Biden.
I know, but I'm still not really hearing a specific policy.
Right. So his COVID policy was correct. Okay.
Wait, but you just said something with the beaches that you don't like the closure.
You can bring it over.
Like his president.
Does Tim believe in anything? I'm starting to actually question myself. Does he actually believe in anything at all? It's just I've never seen someone struggle so, like, even people who don't really have answers can like come up with an answer. He can't. He genuinely can't.
Presidential platform.
Like what is he
like,
running on today?
He's got one. Does he?
Okay, so you're.
I've not been on board with him. So we can look at what happened.
And you said parental rights. I'm curious what you mean by that.
Yeah, like
I'm in favor of parental rights, right? Like I want parents to be able to, if their child is transitioning, to be able to work with their doctor with a plan and make sure that children are not being driven to suicidal ideation and that parents aren't restricted by the state.
Let's talk about one of his policies.
Okay, go ahead.
Genders,
I don't want parents to be restricted from the state from giving healthcare to their children.
If I open this book on YouTube, the stream will get taken down.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you ever read this book?
No.
This book is in middle schools in Florida. Ron DeSantis had it removed. That's one simple policy he did. That's very good.
Okay, what's in there? Okay, what's in there? What's the book about? Okay, if I open up goddamn open heart surgery on stream right now, my stream will also be taken down. It's a memoir. This has a 4.5 rating. The book is marked as 18 up. Okay. I don't know what's in the book. It's marked as 18 up. Which, all right. I mean, I don't know exactly what's in here, but like if there's something that you think like your kid should be advised on before reading, you could just do that then. Yo, cocksucker. He's slurping on the Kako in here. Is that true? Kako Slurpee? This is the visual I'd be picturing, but I can't feel anything that was much hotter when it was my only imagination. Yo, cocksucko go crazy. Let's try something else, of course. All right. Okay. The bulge. No! This would evolve into hip thrusting while thinking of my latest gay ship. Oh my gosh, gay homosexual people. That would mean I have to talk to my kids. No! The scene of the character giving a blowjob, which he's trying to say is like porn. I mean, you can, here's the thing, okay? This is a book that can be given to kids that are younger. You just have to like be able to advise them and everything. Like you're going to have to teach kids about sex at some point in time, and middle schoolers as well, since that's typically where sex ed starts. If this is a type of book that you can get and be guided through, even like a bit. I don't think there's like a problem with it. They're not just having sex. They're not just like, it's not just porn. Like it shows scenes of sex, sure, but like not every scene of sex is porn. Obviously. Have you heard of viewers' discretion? That is true. You can't have viewers' discretion. You can, if you think a kid's too young to like check out a book, you can like not check the book out to the kid. Yeah, I actually want to see something. There's 2 books. Let's see.
Those librarians at the Central Bucks School District have been ordered to remove 2 titles from library shelves. Both books deal with LGBTQ issues, and it's the first book ban under a controversial new policy passed earlier this year. Action News reporter Becca Hendrickson has details.
The books pulled off the shelves are 2 of 65 titles the district is reviewing for what it calls sexualized content, meaning more book bans could be coming soon.
You can go with that lens into any book.
Holding her copy of Genderqueer,
main target audience for this book.
high school junior Lily Freeman is telling her mom how the book has had an impact on her life as a teenager in the LGBTQ community.
Not every LGBTQ story is like mine. I get to see what other people experience.
The book is one of 2 the district is no longer allowing in its libraries. The other is This Book is Gay. They are the first 2 books to be banned under the district's controversial policy restricting what it calls inappropriate nudity and sexual content. We found both titles at Doylestown.
That's kind of curious. They said junior. I mean,
shop. In response to the ban, the district said in a statement in part, as outlined by the policy guidelines, our school librarians will now work to select 2 books on the same subject matter to replace each of these books on shelves for students.
It's like a domino effect. Now that this happened, now what's next? What other books will be taken out? What other things will this board majority do besides book bans?
Action News talked to other people in the school community in favor of the ban. They would not go on camera, but said they believe the books are inappropriate for kids. The 6ABC data team analyzed book bans.
Okay, then don't check them out to those kids. What about you getting like you could do something like get a parent sign off on that. You could use it for specific classes. Like you don't have to like, there could be something in the school that's not like, okay, you could like read, okay, listen, you could go to the Bible and you could read off shit from the Bible that would get your show demonetized as well. Like, what are you talking about, man?
You've never seen this book?
I've heard about it.
Have you ever looked inside of it?
No, but I don't believe in censorship.
If I show you a picture of a blowjob, would you be offended? Can I show you a picture of a blowjob?
I wouldn't be offended. I think
disavow.
That, honestly, do you know, Tim, that
you disavow blowjobs? Damn, honestly, it makes a lot of sense.
The more children learn about sexual education in the way that's productive and done in schools, the less likely they are to be sexually abused because they know what is good and what is bad.
I can't show this image on YouTube.
Okay.
Do you hear me though about that?
So I think
more children.
Well, sure, maybe you think that less children being sexually assaulted is good, but have you thought about my YouTube revenue? Checkmate, female.
The issue is
about sexual education, the less likely they are to be victims of pedophilia and rape.
I think the issue is you're confusing sexual education with kink.
Huh?
Right, so I'm looking at this right now. I can't even hold it up because I can't point.
I don't think a blowjob is a kink. Well, I guess you can have a blowjob kink, I guess. But
the camera, and I don't understand why school children should be taught how to perform blowjobs for an autoandrophile.
I don't believe.
Okay, so just so you know, the book doesn't teach them how to give a blowjob. Just so you know, it shows a scene of a blowjob. It doesn't. It's not one of those, here's a thread on how to give the best blowjob ever. That's not what the book says. That's a lie.
They're being taught that.
Why was this book
banned?
Why was this book in
I don't really know. Again, because this is another case-by-case example.
No. You asked me about what Ron DeSantis did. You asked me what Ron DeSantis did that I liked.
That he banned genderqueer?
That he's removing pornographic and kink books from middle schools is a very, very good one.
What does that word mean?
And I would.
Well, for me, my politics are a little broader than that, Tim, I gotta say.
So, listen, if your argument to me is that I or anyone else should support your politics because you want to show blowjobs to children, you're going to lose.
Okay, so what happened? It was a picture of a blowjob, or was it teaching them how to give a blowjob, or was it showing them that, or was it a scene about like how based a kink is, or like what was going on? Because it seemed like his story about what's happening in this book changes every single time that he needs it to. It's quite strange. Such a loser. I think that things that show sex can be shown to middle school kids in controlled environments because they should learn about it. And so you should show it to them in a controlled environment for teaching purposes. That's true. That is true. There is booby. That is true. You can't take. I mean, like, I mean, here's the thing. You like joked about that. It was a. Oh yeah, I was kind of looking. It wasn't even a real. It wasn't even a real dick, was it? They had a strap on, right? Autoandrophile. Also, what the hell does autoandrophile mean? What is that? Trans man version of autogynephile? Okay, maybe. I guess if he just wants to make up medical conditions. Boobs. It is true. So the thing you were joking about, like, oh, you can't take your kids to like an art museum because there's boobs. That is true. I mean, like the Republicans are literally doing that thing. They're actually doing it. I think they had a replica of the statue of David that got removed in one of these like conservative schools because they said it was porn. That happened. That genuinely, literally happened. Also, the Bible was pulled off shelves as well because somebody said that it was inappropriate for kids, and so they pulled the Bible. They had to the law that they did made sure that they automatically pulled the Bible from shelves too. It was wacky. Literally 2 panels. Yeah, I saw it, dude. It's 2 panels. It's like he sucked my fake caca. Crazy. That's literally what happened.
Well, I don't think that is a policy done by teachers in this country. I think that this
book was in schools in Florida,
there
which
are
is
a ton of books that are in a ton of schools. I don't.
Okay,
I don't believe in censorship. That's not my bag, buddy.
So you think children should have Playboy?
What? My man, he's yes, Statue of David, Playboy, basically the same thing. Honestly, I can tell that he hasn't had that many girlfriends. I can see it. He's one of those dudes where you can smell it that he hasn't had that many relationships in his life. Ooh, booba, feel like bag of sand. Okay, buddy. All right.
Don't really think so. No, because that's pornography.
So you think a blowjob?
You're in favor of censorship.
Yes,
you are.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's good to know.
If you watched the show, you'd know this.
Oh, you're okay. You're
we
pro
talk
censorship.
about how we're
I am not. I want children to be able to have all the information that they need in order to
including pornography.
No, that's not pornography.
We backup record everything, and
we'll still be recording.
I think we're back.
We are back.
Oh, we went down.
Whoa.
Power just went out. Yeah, that was God striking you down.
That was
can you define what porn is? I just want to know what he thinks porn is. So are like Greek statues all porn? And they're like the Greek and Roman statues are all porn. Like that's porn. Like statues of it's POV. I think we all can. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think we can all understand what like. It's that court case, right? Where they're like, it's hard to define what porn is, but you know it when you see it.
You're the one arguing for.
You're the one arguing for censorship.
Yes.
I mean, I don't really mind that stuff. I mean, are you in favor of children seeing violence on television?
No.
That scares me a little bit more.
It depends. It's not so simple to say violence,
no,
right?
well, it depends. Okay.
But yes, censorship is a good thing, but when done bad is a bad thing.
Yeah.
For instance, Ian Crossland, who is a co-host on Timcast IRL, used to be a moderator for Minds.com.
The Gigabrain.
And he had to filter out graphic depictions of murder and rape and child abuse.
Okay.
Censorship is absolutely vital in that regard. So if we're talking about a book like, in particular, there was one called, there's a teacher.
What a fast backpedal. This is like the 3rd time he's done this, like for the show, actually. You know, he did the same thing with, well, he did it with DeSantis, and then he did it with ads, and now he's doing it again. He does this every now and again. Well, like every like 20 minutes will pass, and then he'll do one of those. No, well, actually, yes, but also.
Who provided a book to her middle schoolers called "This Book Is Gay." I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I have heard. That's actually a very good book.
And it provides instruction on children. She provided instruction to children on how to use adult gay anonymous sex apps. Yeah, I don't think that's appropriate. Now, look, by all means, you can be in favor of them.
Maybe she had a child. Maybe she had a child in her classroom
who wanted to go on Grindr and have sex with adults. Is that your argument?
No, I mean, I'm not saying that. First of all, I don't know.
Bro,
again,
why would a 10-year-old need Grindr?
This is this.
Bro, what are you saying?
In her classroom.
It means you can use adult gay anonymous
book,
and it provides instruction on.
Okay, I don't believe what this guy says at all, because remember when he said that the book originally that he brought up had like was teaching people how to give blowjobs, and then he backed off of that and said, well, actually it just kind of like showed that somebody was sucking on a dildo in two panels. Gay adult sex apps. Here, let me see. Was he even talking? What's the book called?
Like, in particular, there was one called, there's a teacher who provided a book to her middle schoolers called This Book is Gay. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I have heard. That's actually a very good book.
And it provides instruction on she provided instruction to children on how to use adult gay anonymous sex apps. Yeah, I don't think that's...
Well, who? Wait, was it the book that did it? Or was it the teacher that did it? Because he said she showed them how to use the apps.
She provided instruction to children on how to use adult gay anonymous...
So is it the book or was it the teacher? Which one is it? What's going on? I don't know. Dating apps. I don't know. Grindr. I don't know. Oh no. We're gonna type in Grindr. Oh no. Does Tampa School Book Library teach gay? Does teach about gay intercourse? Yes. Okay. Book has instructions for anal sex and hookup apps, as well as writing. Blah, blah. This Book is Gay was available on shelves. It's also true that the book included a chapter with information and instructions that teaches kids about anal sex, oral sex, and hookup apps. Wait, it teaches them how to use it or it teaches them about it? Because, like, once again, that's just sex ed. The POV sex ed scary? Okay.
Sex apps. Yeah, I don't think that's appropriate. Now, look, by all means, you can be in favor of them.
Maybe she had a child. Maybe she had a child in her classroom
who wanted to go on Grindr and have sex with adults. Is that your argument?
No, I mean, I'm not saying that. First of all, I don't know. Again, this is
why would a 10-year-old need Grindr?
This is
I love lying.
the thing that you do, though, Tim.
Oh, that I do.
You're picking specific examples that are inflammatory.
You asked me for one.
Okay, then go ahead.
I did. We have the book.
Yeah, I
said don't show children blowjobs. You said you appreciate it.
I'm not in favor of censorship.
As an objective observer that's sitting here, you asked for a specific example. He gave it to you. And
yes. The objective observer has arrived. Just like the objective rating system of r/real rate me.
And you try to say he's broadly in favor of censorship.
Yeah.
It's possibly to make a hypocrisy point later on when he complains about social media censorship or something like that.
No,
but it's like he's talking about this specific issue. And I remember I was working on an education series about this kind of thing years before it was popular. Yes, I was ahead of my time. And yeah, these kind of things were popping up all over schools. And I am happy that DeSantis is like doing something.
We had Asra Nomani on the show. She brought in, I think, like 70 books of all of the weird racist indoctrination and sex stuff that they're bringing in schools.
Yeah.
And I said, look, man, it's really simple for me. If someone comes to me and says that they think this book, which Amazon says is 18 up only, should be given to children, I'll say, I will vote against you.
So should the Bible be banned from schools because it depicts sexual acts?
It is banned from schools, public schools.
The Bible probably is not.
It's not actually banned from schools, actually. Teaching the Bible in just like a straight up just like sort of religious way is banned from schools. It is not. The Bible or other religious texts are not just straight up banned from schools. No, it's not true.
Appropriate for children for a lot of reasons. And I am not a Christian, so I don't particularly care about whether or not they're going to give a book to children that has something like Deuteronomy 23:20 in it. I don't think kids should be reading that kind of stuff. Okay. However, I'm in favor of the parents deciding when it is appropriate for their kids, which comes with very difficult moral questions in that my morality is different from the morality of each individual parent. So that's why I'm kind of like, the government probably shouldn't be the one doing it.
You can just like not check out the book to some kids. You can do that, right?
You had an expert on sexual education on your program to talk about this kind of stuff.
Yes.
What did they say? And are you in favor of abstinence only?
No. It's been a very, very long time.
You're not in favor of abstinence only education.
I think abstinence only is
so
silly.
You're kind of hinging on this book that has pornographic material in it that like okay.
There's a difference between sex and kink. Right?
Okay. Sure.
So the many individuals on the left have made arguments in favor of kink for kids, which is weird to me, and I think it's inappropriate. I think kids should learn about sex. I think the parents should decide when it's appropriate. This is why typically at schools they would give out notice to the parents like, we're intending on doing sex ed. Here's the subjects we're going to cover.
Nothing's changed.
The
in
issue
that way.
with Florida was that they had a policy where they would not instruct parents and actually were told not to talk to the parents if the kids were suffering identity issues. Now, the state should not intervene and take away the rights of the parents in that way.
Can you say that again?
What about the rights of the kid? Also, like, what do you mean, like, the rights of the parents to know everything about their kid? Like, doesn't the kid have like some rights to like even a modicum of privacy? Even like the smallest amount of privacy ever? Of be like, I mean, I don't know. Here's just my thing. Maybe I'm just maybe I'm a parent hater. But if a kid comes to me as like a teacher or like a counselor or something, and they're like, please don't tell my parents this, I think the kid probably has a reason to not want their parents to know something. You know, it like, I don't know. I think we should like listen to kids a little bit more than we like give them credit for. Because way too often, especially these days where everybody's so atomized, it's so easy for parents to have like complete dominion over every second of like a kid's life and to abuse them for every second of their life. And so I think like, if we want to like get kids out of like really bad situations, I think we need to be able to give them like, my personal thing, okay, is that I think actually we need more privacy for kids. I really think that there should be schools and we should be like racked up. Every single school should be racked up with like goddamn 10 counselors that a kid can go to that has like almost complete privacy and anonymity for just like 99.9% of things. And the only thing that you would break that for would be like suicidality or like murderous intent. Honestly. And then that's honestly it. And if the parents doesn't like, if a kid doesn't want to bring something to their parents yet, I don't want the kid to like be, I don't want the kid to be like forced to show that type of shit. What's the parent gonna do? Harm them? What if they will? If they won't, then congratulations, nothing was lost. If they will, congratulations, you harmed the kid.
The state, what about gender identity issues?
So in Florida, what prompts a bill like this, and it also happened with stuff in like Nashville, was that the schools, and I think they do this in like Washington,
like Asheville, am I
the
right?
schools were actually telling teachers not to talk to the parents if the children were having some kind of identity issue. And so this led to suicides.
No. What leads to suicides is that children are being told that they cannot operate and be who they are as the gender that is who they are in their heart. That's what's leading to suicides.
I'm talking about one specific. Well, I think it's like
again, you're talking about one specific example. I'm talking about broader.
You can't ask me for like.
I talk about
It's just, well, they didn't do that, and then it led to suicide. No, it didn't. 2 kids killed themselves. You're telling me their parents that you're telling me that 2 kids who were having gender issues, who didn't want to bring the issue to their parents, killed themselves, and telling their parents would have like made it, would have fixed it? How?
Politics, Tim. I don't talk about anecdotes.
Well, he's talking about policy that they would not.
You asked me what the policy was.
Talking about school district policy. I cover national politics. Me too. Yeah. All right.
You can't ask me a question. Then when I explain where the policy came from, be like, no, that makes
I'm not sure if Emma's explaining herself correctly here. Basically, right? What Tim's doing is he's like, let me look at these anecdotes and this is the reason why this needs to happen. But obviously, just because like a couple anecdotes and you can like pull up a couple of anecdotes doesn't mean that there's like a full policy should change for like the vast majority of other people, right?
This meme is very real.
I think that's the issue here. Yeah, she didn't ask him about a made up story though. He's just using anecdotes here to pull up why this is a big thing. I think what she means, instead of saying specific examples, she means like, this is anecdotal and it's not, I don't think this is reflective of how the situation actually is. They got sources. I found the excerpt. Technology changes frighteningly quickly. The lesbian app Crusher has been gone already, but it seems the market leader Grindr is here to stay. Note, Grindr is also an age minimum 18-year-old. That's it. Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. So it just mentions two gay dating apps. Nice one.
sense.
You go into
anyways, that's basically
I'm telling you why the policy was written.
Okay, go ahead, Tim.
Okay, yes. And it's written off of anecdotes, and it's cringe.
That's why the policy was written, because there were children who were having identity issues, and the schools were instructed, the teachers were told not to tell the parents. This led to, I think it was a suicide attempt. The parents got angry.
Who had a suicide?
Wait a second. We've gone from suicides to suicide attempt. Okay.
A little girl tried to kill herself.
Okay, again, this is one case. Go ahead.
And there was also another, right. I'm not talking about, look at this anecdote, let's set policy. I'm saying Florida set a law because, okay? I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm saying a thing led to a thing, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
My position is that parents should be fully informed about what's going on with their children, and teachers should not withhold that information from them. It is not up to the state to decide what is best for the kid. There are certain exceptions.
Yes, it actually is. It is actually. That's why you can get your kids taken away from you. 100%. It is actually the purpose of the state to also decide what's best for the kid. They can take your kid. You can take your. You can have your kid taken from you, right?
What is best for the kid in these instances. They are essentially saying that children, take Florida, for example. You're talking about Florida. Let's talk about it. They're saying that children cannot, under the supervision of their doctor and with their parental consent. None of this happens, by the way, without parental consent. It's illegal. They cannot work with their doctor on a healthcare plan for them to transition into their
gender. I'm not talking about that. I mean, you're talking about medical intervention. I'm talking about
you
like,
have
yes, but like that's
knowledge about their
before.
It is the state coming in.
If a doctor prescribed a lobotomy to a kid, the government should stop that.
It's not a lobotomy. That's not what it is.
I'm saying that there are certain things in the medical world that we've prohibited.
Right, but this is not what should. One of them. But the American
you
Journal.
disagree? You think it shouldn't be?
No,
I'm not arguing you're
every
wrong.
single expert that is reputable on this front disagrees. The American Journal of Pediatrics did a study about transitioning children. They studied them over 5 years. 94% of the children continued to identify as the gender that they were choosing to identify with at the beginning.
For 5 whole years?
Yeah,
wow.
yes.
When placed on Lupron.
Crazy.
No, then the 6% that were remaining.
Wait a second.
Identify as the gender that they were choosing to identify with at the beginning.
For 5 whole years?
Yeah,
wow.
yes.
When placed on Lupron.
No, then the 6% that were remaining, 3.5% identified as cisgender.
Just so you know, Lupron is a puberty blocker. That's not hormones. It's not like it's not a brand of testosterone or estrogen. It's puberty blocker. It's one brand of puberty blocker.
2.5% went back, yes, but they were heavily weighted under the age of 10 years old,
this is
where they never had any medical intervention. This is how actually trans care actually goes, Tim. 8 to 13 years old, you're put on puberty blockers. Those are entirely reversible. Then after that is 100% true.
It's just not true.
That's 100% true.
They're not entirely reversible. To a certain degree, they can be.
Then why are they used in instances where someone has puberty that
precocious puberty?
That's precocious puberty.
Right, exactly. And there's a carve out for that in the Florida bill, by the way. So cis kids can have it, but trans kids can't.
Because that's the primary label.
16 years
that's
old,
the primary use of the drug.
Okay, but
like you using the drug for a different ailment doesn't automatically mean that the drug is now dangerous. They were talking about the danger of the drug, and now they're like, well, actually, they were using it off label. You should use it on label. If you're using it for literally the same thing, then how is one dangerous and the other? This is why they lose in court. Just so you know. This is actually one of the points that federal judge brought up. They were like, he says that this treatment is incredibly dangerous and scary and you shouldn't give it, but it didn't stop him from giving it to cis kids.
That's not what doctors say. No. Then 16 years old, that's when hormones happen. Very, very, very rarely are there any surgeries under the age of 18. I don't hear you talking about rhinoplasties under the age of 18 on your program.
We have.
Oh.
Maybe you haven't heard it because you don't watch the show.
Okay.
I've also said child beauty pageants are wrong and they're disgusting. I've also said Hooter is inappropriate for kids. And I said we shouldn't be giving minors any kind of cosmetic surgery. I don't even like tattoos or piercings. So when it comes to...
It's quite puritanical of you, Tim. I'm surprised.
Can they do a kick?
I don't think children.
Stuff in
I don't think children should make should be altering their bodies.
But you just said parental rights. So if under 18, parents have to give consent for piercings and tattoos. And
do you think a mom should have the right to remove the salivary glands of her child?
No. Are you for parental?
Maybe. What if they need their salivatory glands removed? So Yes. Actually, yes, 100%. What if they need them removed? What if a mom wanted to remove her kid's pituitary gland, huh? Then what?
Parental rights or not?
Right to remove the salivary glands of her child?
No. Are you for parental rights or not?
See, this is
I mean, if the doctor prescribes it, then they should. Yeah, I mean, sure. Why is the doctor's prescribing it? Because they are stinky and liberal, and drooling is for conservatives, and it's all ideology. Yeah, that's why.
Every right has limits.
Well, this is actually interesting because what you're asking, we've actually talked in a great depth about on Timcast IRL. That
are you for parental rights or not? I just asked.
That question right there leads in two different directions, which is, again, we've addressed. If you watched the show, you'd have heard the statement we've made about it.
Well, I heard you 5 minutes ago say you were for parental rights, and now you're saying you're not.
Where do parents' rights begin and where do they end is strictly a moral question based on the moral frameworks of an individual. If there is someone who goes to a doctor in, say, Saudi Arabia, and the doctor prescribes female circumcision, they're going to argue it's the parents' rights. We would argue
another
against
hypothetical. I'm talking about reality.
These things literally do happen in other countries.
But it wouldn't be.
I'm talking about this country, and I'm talking about parental rights.
A point. Right. The point is
he does like scurry around. He runs around the room before coming back to a point.
The idea that parents have a right is limited to what our moral limits are. Meaning, if you morally are okay with a child sex change, then you're going to argue in favor of parents' rights. If I say you shouldn't be able to mandate vaccinations, you'd probably argue against the parents' right, right? Should a school be allowed to mandate vaccines for children?
Yes.
But what about the parents' rights? Are you for parents' rights?
No.
Well, I'm for public health.
But you're not for parents' rights. You see, that question leads nowhere.
No, I mean, look, Tim, I've never made parental rights a plank of my own politics. I'm saying this within the context.
I hate parents, actually. If parents' number one thing that they don't want to do is parent their children. Let's be honest with ourselves, okay? And honestly, the way I see some like 20-somethings growing up has proven this to me. It's proven this to me. The relationship with their parents, they haven't been taught shit. Difficult conversations were never had. It's just kind of yelling in the household until they move out. It's just, or there was no talking at all. It's just, yeah, I think the state should take a stronger role when it comes to raising kids, because a lot of parents just don't want to do it. Now, I think they should be allowed to do whatever they do within like reasonable circumstances. But once again, when it comes to like your rights bumping up against another person's rights, okay, that's when these things obviously change. Yeah, I don't think that if your parental rights infringes on other people's rights to not get sick or something, or not die, or not to be in danger, then yeah, obviously that's when your rights end. I think anybody could say that. I don't know why you would say that. I don't know why you would say bringing up things like vaccines when that affects other people, when it only affects the people who you want to stop from getting the care. It's just that trans surgery is not like contagious. As no matter how much some people in my community or others would want to believe, testosterone and estrogen is not contagious. You can't just get some off of somebody.
Context of what you just said 5 minutes ago.
And I'm explaining.
Yes,
parental rights extends to my morality.
So, right, your morality says that you think that trans children and parents, even if they agree with their child and the doctor is supervising this kind of transition, you're essentially saying that you don't believe that they should have the power and ability, and that the state should intervene. That sounds like big government to me.
Yeah, I'm not, I don't know if you know who I am.
The go.
Well, okay, then there you go. That the state should intervene because you don't believe that parents should. And their children, they're in agreement.
So at first, my position was, early on, if the doctors are prescribing it and it's the best thing they can do, I think we're looking at in the past 4 years.
I don't think you watch every single one of my shows.
About 50,000 or so cases of cross-sex hormones for kids. So be it. Then we started seeing like the Tavistock scandal. We saw Finland, Denmark, Sweden start pulling this. The research coming out showed that it was not particularly effective. And then we also had multiple studies showing that desistance rates for those who did not take any, who did not receive intervention was actually upwards of 95%. And then my position became, it probably is the appropriate thing for the legislature to say, we're not going to allow this anymore.
Okay, I just listed the American Journal of Pediatrics. That's incredibly reputable. Incredibly reputable. 94% of children continued care after age. Take a Netherlands study. This is Lancet. 98% continued hormone therapy and follow-up.
After what?
So you no, but the other one's a 5-year study. This is just a secondary
after
one.
what point?
Well, no. So this is the issue, right? Those studies were based upon whether a child was placed on puberty blockers or not. When a child is placed on puberty blockers, they tend not to desist. When a child is left alone, they tend to desist. So
wait, does he think puberty blockers are like a gateway drug? Wait, why you bring that point up? The only internally logical reason why you would bring that up is if you actually think that puberty blockers is like a gateway drug or something. That's the only reason that you would bring that up. Also, that study was debunked, okay? The methodology was giga ass. The thing what happens is that kids who we're pretty sure are going to get out of kids who are pretty sure are going to grow out of their like gender questioning don't go on puberty blockers to begin with. And the ones where we're like, this could probably continue, we give puberty blockers to. That's why. Honestly, it shows that before the state got involved, it seems like the doctors were doing a pretty damn good job. Upwards of like 90%, it seems. I'm familiar with it. It ignores kids who identified as the opposite gender and said they desisted because they did. Yeah, also that studies in particular said that they desisted because they desisted when they didn't continue medical care. When just because you're not continuing, listen, we live in the United States of America. Do you literally believe that somebody who doesn't continue medical care doesn't want the medical care anymore? Like, I would actually hazard a bet that most of the people who don't continue medical care don't do it because they don't want the care anymore. It's probably because they either can't afford it or there's some other reason that makes it hard for them to get the care. We live in, like, come on. Come on.
So the issue is then if, according to, 10 prospective follow-up studies from child and adolescents found desistance ranging from 61 to 90%, then the safety of the children would lean towards non-intervention.
Go ahead.
May not know this one.
Again, we should probably agree to look at these kinds of studies before we're going to pull them up for a debate, because.
Wait 1 second. Yeah, Emma may not know this meme. NLM provides access to scientific literature. It does not endorse them. Gender dysphoria in adolescents' current perspectives. Let me see. I'm gonna look this up really quick because this is the study that got shot down, right? From 2018. Yeah, this is the 2018 one. It's the Littman study. No, it's a different one. It's a different one. It's not the Littman one. Oh, it was the more recent one that got removed. So this older one still hanging around. I don't know all the methodology behind this one, but like this study isn't important. I don't know if Emma knows this. She may not. Like, they talk about more. They spend a lot of time on like more like important things, like talking to people who actually matter, and we spend time looking at like insane people, that you can come across in your daily life. So she may not know this one specifically, but yeah, like even if this isn't removed, it literally doesn't matter, because the conclusion that he's trying to get out of this doesn't make any sense.
Pull them up for a debate, because what I'm pulling up and what I'm referencing is inherently reputable, and you can find any information that you want on the internet. Yep. I am with a majority of doctors on this front.
No, I'm sorry. NCBI.nlm.nih.gov is not does not in and of itself mean that the studies are right.
That's a broad statement. I don't know about that.
No, that is actually a fact. That is 100% a fact.
Well, I've seen this movie before. So what's happening is you're referencing detransition under a system where they wouldn't be put on puberty blockers necessarily, and then they would go through the cross-sex hormone. So everybody who would have desisted at the point of puberty, which is what you're referencing, is already excluded from her sample. So and I don't even think you would disagree with that once they're actually past the point of puberty and they still think they're in the opposite body or whatever, and they go through the process, there's a very low detransition rate. But you're specifically talking about desistance. And I remember this because this happened when you argue with the serfs.
This is what it boils down to. I'm not a moralist. I don't have like the arrogance to believe that my personal preferences for how my life would be lived should be imposed on other people. I'm trying to make a argument for a case I'm trying to make a case for a broad set of policies that are going to make sure people are as happy as they can possibly be.
I wouldn't say it's pro-trans. He's just explaining how He's just explaining to Tim why what he's trying to say doesn't make any sense for the why it wouldn't. It's not really important here.
And can live their life to the fullest. So if you want to impose your morality on people, it sounds like fundamentalism. For me, I'm in favor of
a real argument.
But if most
I am having a real argument. You just said your morality
is
a
study.
man.
Here's a study that shows desistance rates up to 95%. Hold on. Desistance rates are shown up to 90%.
Tim doesn't understand the difference between like prescriptive and descriptive statements. Even if that study is descriptively right, the prescriptive statement still doesn't necessarily follow.
95% with non-intervention. So then we would lean towards non-intervention. And you said you're a fundamentalist. You didn't make an argument.
No, earlier you talked about how your morality is what you want to dictate in terms of this policy.
Wait, you see, this is what I was talking about with Sam.
Oh, he's so
the
mad.
Inability to grasp philosophical concepts. When I explain to you,
when I don't understand prescriptive and descriptive
vaccine mandates,
you don't get it,
right? I don't think you can understand the duality of the statement you're making. Are you in favor of parental rights can go in one of two moral directions? You do have a moral stance.
I wasn't talking about parental rights. I was using that as a way to talk about your statement on parental rights. And I fully grasp concepts of morality.
And you want to impose that, then you too would be a fundamentalist, and you've made a nonsensical statement. If you want to make an argument about why me using this data is incorrect, I'm all ears. If you want to tell me I'm a fundamentalist,
I haven't seen the data, so I can't.
Well, then don't make an argument about it if you don't know the data.
No, I do know the data. I use the American Journal of Pediatrics. I don't know.
No, she said she didn't know about this study specifically. She knows about what the broad, like the broad medical. Not consensus, but broad medical understanding at the moment is.
The data that you just pulled up.
You did not look up desistance rates. You did not look up anything other than what fits your narrative.
Tim, what you just said is that you want your morality to dictate policy.
No, I didn't.
I want people to have freedom.
I certainly did not.
Want.
That's just not true. I said that everyone's view on a question like parental rights is dictated by their morality. You do have one as well. People have a moral framework. You've told me that you're in favor of public health. That is a moral stance. So are you a fundamentalist? Do you want to impose your moral?
No, I talk about politics. I don't talk about things that are so abstract. I talk about
You're in favor of vaccine mandates or not?
Of course.
That's a moral position. Not a scientific one.
No, it is a public health position.
Well, it's sure. Your morality dictates that the government can impose a medication on people against their will.
Because
well, you have to talk about like for one, you have to talk about like what do you mean by necessarily like against their will? Like what choices do they have to be able to not take it if they want? And also what possibly is the effect afterwards, you know? And on the other end, you could say the government thinks it's okay for you to die of a treatable disease because somebody else didn't want to wear a mask.
Because I am trying to create a society.
That's a moral question.
No, because I'm trying to
That's moral.
Sure, I think I am more moral.
But you just said you weren't. You said you were not a moralist.
No, I'm not. I am dealing in politics, and politics can create outcomes
I don't like this discussion.
That are moral or immoral, and I'm dealing in the ones that I think will create the most,
so you're
the best outcome. No, moralism in the way that I was referencing it is one that falls back on notions of fundamentalism and imposing morality that is individual to you on the rest of society. I am talking about creating a society
data that shows
a society that gives people the freedom that they
moralism.
No, that's politics.
You want to create a society that does a works towards a goal of your personal perspective.
We need the the philosophy and its repercussions have truly reverberated throughout this country in possibly the worst way. Oh, I hate it so much. It's terrible. I remember back in back a couple years ago where people remember a couple years ago back when everybody was like the philosophy 101 student. Remember that? Where everybody was like, oh yes, my like on some say like, oh, my dialectical materialism, my oh well, as you see, my axioms are much stronger than yours. Oh well, as you if you and every just like starts using a bunch of goddamn like philosophy words. Yeah, philosophy 101 has obliterated this political discussion. It's terrible. My philosophy 101 class was stupid. Oh no. People want to do what they think is good. How many bits do we have to give to end the pain? I think they'll be off this in a second. I'm kind of thinking about skipping through it.
What you were talking about should happen in the United States.
How much do you want to bet? How much do you, no, you're wrong.
There are very ridiculous hypotheticals because I deal in reality. I cover politics.
So you're in favor of female circumcision?
That doesn't happen in the United States.
How much do you want to bet? How much do you, no, you're wrong.
There are very small amounts. I am not in favor.
So you're in favor of it?
I wouldn't.
If you want to restrict what people do with their own children, you're against parental rights?
That's not the same thing. Is a doctor? You want
to talk about Dearborn, Michigan? I've actually gone there and done the research. I've actually done the boots on the ground journalism in the story. Yes.
He's so. Listen, these are just two different situations. They're completely different situations. If there was a medical condition to where air quote circumcision. Well, I don't know if there's clit cancer. If clit cancer exists, and the way to deal with that, the best way to deal with that would be to lop it off. Then yeah, if that's the case, then that should be a choice that you should be able to take. And maybe medically, it may be considered like a female's genital circumcision or mutilation or whatever. But like in that case, then yeah, it should be taken care of in that way. That you need to think a little bit harder about these things before you just blanket ban them. And that's why actually all of these laws against like trans people are going to be shot down, because they don't care about the actual children. What they care about is trying to own the libs and screw over the trans people. And that's why they didn't ban these medications or the use of these outright. These medications or these or these treatments outright, because it would affect cis kids and non-trans kids and kids who aren't going there because they're trans, because they didn't want to do that. They wanted to just screw over the trans ones.
Wow.
Yeah, right. Because female circumcision is a bad thing.
He's starting to get a little
We
red.
do not want these things to be happening. And even the parents were going to doctors to get it prescribed. There are limits. There's the famous story of the Kennedy. They got the Kennedy got it lobotomized because the doctors prescribed it. Just because there's current scientific research that leans one direction doesn't mean we move absolutely in one direction. What we have here is...
We're not moving absolutely in one direction. You need, I don't know, man, 90% of the trans people I ever talked to, especially ones that started when they were younger, are always talk about how the shit's really hard. Can you imagine? I'm every single conservative thinks some 10-year-old cartwheels into a clinic and then they instantly get their dick chopped off if they say I feel like a girl. Come on.
A very prominent set of studies, which we've referenced on the show numerous times, showing desistance rates for minors who do not receive intervention in terms of affirmation or gender sex change is upwards of 95%, in which case science dictates we do not intervene. If you want to take the 5% chance that we then...
I wish somebody... I really wish somebody got on there to talk. I wish somebody more... somebody who's looked into this could be there to slap this point down, because it's an easy W and honestly a great TikTok, if I'm gonna be honest with you. But they need somebody to debunk this, because the shit just do not make no sense, honestly. Treatment seeking adolescents with GD present with Yeah, we'll read this one later, but
intervene in these children's lives, and that can result in even one kid being harmed. That sounds like an immoral action.
Now, these are extremely specific hypotheticals that you are maximizing in this current instance.
Wait, actually, I kind of want to read it now, if that's the case. Increasing numbers of adolescents are seeking treatment in gender identity services in Western countries, and increase blah. Oh, I don't care, bro. Also, often during puberty, however, virtually nothing is known regarding adolescent onset GD, its progression and its factors to influence the completion of the development tests of adolescents among young people with GD and or transgender identity. Consolidation of identity development is a central development goal of adolescents, but we still do not know enough about gender identity variants to actually evolve. Treatment-seeking adolescents with GD present with considerable psychiatric comorbidity. That means they have other mental issues. There's little research on how GD and transgender identities are associated with completion or development tasks of adolescents. What the hell is this? They didn't tell me anything. Wait a second. I gotta. Chat, keep this in mind. We're at 1:12:58. We're at 112.58. 1 second. I gotta take a little peek at this. I gotta take a gander. That did not seem like that quoted that shit. Studies have reported higher rates of desistance among pubescent children. A 2016 review of 10 prospective follow-up studies from childhood to adolescence found desistance rates ranging from 61 to 98%, with evidence suggesting that there might be less than 85% more. Generally, these studies have been criticized on the grounds that they include cases of desistance where the child met the criteria of gender identity disorder defined by the DSM-3 and 4, although some would likely not have met the updated criteria of gender dysphoria in the DSM-5. Oh, that's actually a really big thing. Initial diagnosis criteria for gender dysphoria were only introduced in the DSM-3 in 1980? Wait, this 2016 study was using data from the 1980s? Was using the criteria for the 1980s? And in 1994? Bro, that's older than like 80% of the people we're talking about. Actually, that's older than all of the people we're talking about. Okay. Because I'm 24 and I was born in 99. That is really funny. Okay. But it's incredible what happens when you continue reading. Isn't it, chat? It's remarkable the things you find out when you decide to read. Truly remarkable things. Just one more sentence. That's all it took. Oh my God. Additionally, 2 studies of childhood desistance were based on data from Canada, from a Canadian clinic which closed in 2015 after allegedly engaging in conversion therapy. Oh, that's actually really important. By discouraging social media transition, such clinical practices also may lead to inflated rates of reported desistance. Oh, that's actually okay. It's remarkable what happens when you read, chat. My favorite thing when it comes to talking to conservatives or like conservative leaning people on this issue is going through the things that they give you, like actually reading it. If you actually read something that a conservative gives you, I'm going to tell you now that there's like an 80% chance that you'll find out that they're lying to you.
Even one kid being harmed, that sounds like an immoral action.
Now, these are extremely specific hypotheticals that you are maximizing in this current instance, and I am interested in creating.
Let's move forward a little bit.
That up. If it is true that prescribing puberty blockers prevents people from hitting that point of puberty where they would decide, and largely they would decide to desist, right, when they hit the point of puberty, would you be in favor of removing that from the gender protocol? Because this only is talking about desistance at the point of puberty. So like what he's concerned about is that if you stop people from going through puberty, you stop the changes in their bodies and all that, and then they can't like rationally make that choice because they haven't hit that point in their development.
I don't have the kind of, I guess, arrogance, I would say.
I asked you hypothetically.
Right, but again, this is exactly what reactionary conservatives do.
You know, it's a red flag from
if you deal with hypotheticals, because when you actually deal with the practical reality and the outcomes that you're dealing with and that you're prescribing onto society, it creates an inherently unjust society.
So as the right-wing conservative Destiny said recently when he was debating the left-wing pro-lifers, it is a definite red flag when somebody is unwilling completely to engage with the hypothetical. If you want to say why the hypothetical doesn't apply, that is totally fine.
No, because I want to.
You know, I was watching this Destiny video once, bro. What? Okay.
Just like say, oh, it's a hypothetical, I can't talk about it, as if you don't know what a thought experiment is. It's kind of odd.
Look, I've asked you, we have here, I literally just pulled up detransition Wikipedia. We pulled up this study that shows that without intervention, desistance rates are from 61 to 98%.
And here I have general acceptance of standards of care. The overwhelming weight of medical authority supports treatment of transgender patients with GnRH agonists and cross-sex hormones in appropriate circumstances. Organizations who have formally recognized this include American Academy of Pediatrics, American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, American Academy of Family Physicians, American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, American College of Physicians, American Medical Association, American Pediatric Association.
Oh, man.
Dozens and
Remember
dozens
when doctors said smoking was good for you?
No. Actually, I don't think many other people do either.
You're not citing science. You're citing government approval.
No, I'm not. I am citing
and that's fine.
What does the government have to do with it? These are medical organizations.
Okay, sure. Fair point. You're citing medical organizations, despite the fact that there have been numerous instances throughout history, in fact, basically all of them, where we've been like, hey, we were wrong about that. Like, maybe we shouldn't drink mercury if you get syphilis. But what I'm referring to specifically is if there is no
what are you talking about, like 60 and 53?
Resistance rates are from 61 to 98%, showing the majority of kids are better off not receiving.
No, look, I mean, you're on
my bro was like, well, the scientists in ancient Greek said that lead actually make things taste better. So, so I don't know why I should listen to any doctors today.
Detransition Wikipedia. I just listed a list of dozen.
Again, he mentioned desistance, not detransition. This is like very important that we nail down what we're talking about.
Yeah, right. What I'm saying is, if you have a trans child, or a child who is suffering from gender identity disorder or dysphoria.
Diagnosed or not diagnosed? Because the people that he was talking about, not all of them were diagnosed. Just so you know, they were showing symptoms. That's the only thing that you were talking about. Not everybody there was diagnosed. So don't you try and bring up people who were specifically diagnosed with gender dysphoria, because that's not what those studies brought up.
And you do nothing. There is a 61 to 98% chance they age out of it and grow up and are happy and fine.
That's made up.
It's literally right there. What are you talking about?
On Wikipedia.
At the point of puberty.
No, I pulled up the NIH and you said you can pull up anything. Yeah, so here you go, NIH.gov.
Tim.
Here you go.
Tim.
Are you happy?
Tim.
I don't think Emma should have. I don't think Emma should have said that there. But I would just be like, I'd just be like, you're not talking about the same thing, brother.
Right there. There is a 61 to 98% chance they age out of it and grow up and are happy and fine.
Yeah, I don't know. This just doesn't make any sense. Like, he would just have to be saying that it's like it's a gateway drug. Yeah. Do I have anybody who ever took puberty blockers? Do I have anybody here who ever took the hormones? Is it a gateway drug? Do you do harder drugs now, like nicotine?
Are you happy?
Tim.
Deal
with what I just said about
medical organizations.
The level of medical organizations. You're saying that
have you ever taken the hormones? I bet not be seeing you take
knowledge that you can supersede their expertise.
No, he's not. You're cherry picking American
and you're making
organizations.
an appeal to authority.
I just first of all, I just cited one from the Netherlands, but American Academy of Pediatrics, American Academy of Child
and Appeal to authority.
No,
so true, Mark Bailey.
I'm not a medical authority, and neither are you. So why wouldn't you appeal to the authority? All I can do is point to a study
and say, "Wow, if this study is true, I'm opposed to this." Right?
But there's also all these European organizations that are getting rid of this specific practice that he's focusing on, which is the puberty blockers. And like, for some reason,
I don't know if they're getting rid of puberty blockers. They're limiting how puberty blockers are given out, but I don't think there's any of these nations that have just straight up banned puberty blockers. I don't think that's true.
They're not on your list.
No,
which is
we are properly assessing when intervention is appropriate here. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
But why would they suspend in these better healthcare systems in Europe? Why would they suspend this specific practice that we're arguing about?
I mean, you listed Sweden and Finland. They've just elected far-right governments, but
I mean,
but anyway, like, again, this is what I'm interested in talking about.
Also, the government controls their healthcare and not hospitals here, like we do here, which is
in terms of politics. I want to create a more
and they also have a conservative government, so honestly, that does make a lot of sense.
Medicare for all. You should talk about
conservative government that runs the hospitals. Took away.
I haven't seen much.
Took away a medical. Started limiting a medical treatment that they thought was woke. More at 11.
When you guys cherry pick stuff to talk about music
should talk
or whatever,
about ending child.
Oh my gosh, he's still on the music. He's still thinking about them playing his wonky music.
Any one of these times, you never do. Why? It's not going to get traffic for you.
Well, I mean, you don't clip anything about universal healthcare. You should focus more on it, and then we would focus on it.
Because, like,
what we try to do
when are we going
to
be like, for no reason, let's just make a universal healthcare thing?
What we try.
I mean, because you care about it. Because you care about it? Because you want it to happen? So you're going to talk about it? Why in the world would I ever just talk about something that I believe in or care about? Oh, sorry. I didn't see you there. If you're enjoying the content, hit the subscribe button. If you don't, it'll make Boo very sad. I know a bunch of you who are watching are not subscribed. Join the frenzy. You won't regret it. Thank you, Boo.